Caitlin Clark, the only WNBA player receiving over 500,000 fan votes for the WNBA All-Star game. Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, the Fever Four, sitting in the top 10 when it comes to WNBA fan voting for the All-Star game.
What do you get when a player's All-Star fan vote total jumps from under 100,000 to well over 500,000 in just 1 year? You get Caitlin Clark absolutely rewriting the script of WNBA All-Star voting in 2025. Clark didn't just take the top spot, she obliterated the leaderboard, pulling in a jaw-dropping 515,993 votes and reminding everyone why she's the face of the league. But here's the real twist: this wasn't just about Caitlin's individual dominance. The Indiana Fever. Yes, the same franchise that was rebuilding just seasons ago now has 4 players sitting inside the top 10 in votes. And the irony? Angel Reese, who famously said people were tuning in for her too, is nowhere to be found. The 2025 All-Star Game is set to happen right in Clark's backyard, Indianapolis, and the Fever made one thing clear: they don't just play here, they own this court. If you stand with the Fab Four from Indy, cast your All-Star votes and drop Fever Fab Four in the comments. The movement is real. Let's go.
Every chance the Indiana Fever fans, every chance Caitlin Clark fans, every time they have a chance to show up, they show out. Every time they have an opportunity to support, not only do they support, they go above and beyond when it comes to attendance, when it comes to viewership, when it comes to merchandise, and now clearly, as it's always been clear, the extracurricular activities, the add-ons, the plus ones, this would really help us. This would really help you. Say no more. Please, let's try to get these girls in this is what you want? Say no more. And the Indiana Fever fans did exactly.
To truly grasp the magnitude of what Caitlin Clark has done to the WNBA All-Star scene, you have to rewind and take a hard look at what fan voting looked like just a few seasons ago. Before Clark entered the league and flipped the system on its head, All-Star voting was a tight, grueling battle. The league's biggest names, future Hall of Famers and perennial All-Stars, were grinding for every single vote. The margins were razor thin, and the fan base, while passionate, was operating on a much smaller scale. Each ballot mattered because the numbers were so close together that one viral tweet or fan campaign could change the leaderboard. In short, it was competitive but contained.
Clark's leading, and we've got 4 Indiana Fever players in the top 10, which I think can be expected considering where it is that the game is being played. So I will give people a lot of credit. I think a lot of people, it looks like, voted based on basketball for the most part. And there's a supposed, people keep telling me, supposed second most popular player in the league that doesn't look like the second most popular player.
Here's where the shift becomes crystal clear. Back in 2023, not a single WNBA player broke the 100,000 vote threshold, not one. The voting ecosystem existed within a limited bubble, powered mainly by hardcore fans and loyal followers of the game. Only 8 players managed to collect more than 50,000 votes, which at the time felt respectable. That was the bar, and the league accepted it. It was a reflection of where women's basketball was. A growing but still niche space trying to push into the national spotlight. Those numbers tell the story of a league waiting for its breakout moment.
First returns for the WNBA All-Star voting when it comes to the fan vote. Caitlin Clark, number 1, absolutely no surprise. The biggest, the best, the most noticeable, the face of the WNBA. If you had any questions about the face of the WNBA, look at that graphic right there. That's called the face of.
Then came 2025, and with it, Caitlin Clark's absolute domination. She didn't just break records, she annihilated them. In the first round of All-Star voting alone, she pulled in 515,993 votes. That's not just a small bump in popularity, it's a complete transformation of what fan engagement in the WNBA looks like. To put it in perspective, Clark received over 5 times the total of the top vote getter from just 2 years ago. But the ripple effect is where things really get interesting. Because of Clark's star power and ability to capture the public's imagination, the 2025 ballot saw 19 different players break the 100,000 vote mark, an unthinkable milestone in 2023. This isn't just a Caitlin Clark story, it's a league-wide awakening.
Clark garnered 515,993 votes over the first week of fan voting. She's the only player to eclipse 500,000. Nafisi Collier, who is probably the leader of the MVP pack right now, is at 485,000. Aaliyah Boston is third, 447,000, as she should be.
Want to understand just how seismic this voting shift really is? Look beyond the raw total. Clark's 515,993 votes signal something much deeper. These aren't just one-time clicks or fans doing it for the hype. This is meaningful engagement. This is a fan base actively invested in their players, logging in, sharing links, rallying support. These are fans who care, and it's evidence that women's basketball has finally broken through to the mainstream sports conversation. When you compare Clark's vote totals to other major All-Star games from legacy leagues like the NBA or MLB, her numbers stand tall, right in that same tier of recognition and relevance. That kind of fan response typically takes a decade of league building and branding. Clark achieved it in under 2 full seasons. That's not just impressive, it's generational.
Reese Collier, number 2, Aaliyah Boston, number 3, Asia Wilson, number 4, Brianna Stewart, number 5, Paige, Kiki Iriafen, 2 rookies in the top 10, and we got Kelsey Mitchell, 7, Sabrina, 8, and Lexi Hole, 9. We got 2 rookies, we got 4 Fever players, we got 2 Liberty players, we got Nafisa Collier, a top 2 player in the league right now, arguably the best, and we got the Asia Wilson conglomerate continues to show up for their...
Look at Nafisa Collier, sitting in second place with 484,758 votes. 2 years ago, that would have been considered a fantasy stat, not a real one. That total alone would have absolutely crushed the entire voting field in 2023. And now, it's still not enough to catch Clark. That tells you everything you need to know about how much the landscape has shifted. Every single player in the top 10 this year posted numbers that, in the past, would have guaranteed them the number 1 spot. It's not just a Caitlin Clark wave, it's a complete redefinition of what fan support in the WNBA looks like. And Caitlin isn't just doing it with popularity. Her stats, nearly 20 points and close to 9 assists per game, prove that she's backing up every single vote with real on-court production. She's not riding a college hype wave. She's elevating the sport. Attendance spikes. Viewership climbs. Ratings soar. If Clark is playing, people are watching, and that's a game changer.
But not everybody's conglomerate is showing up for their girl. Not everybody's pieces are showing up for their girl. Not everybody's stands are showing up for their girl. Caitlin Clark, 500,000. Aaliyah Boston, like we said. When we start jumping out of the top 10, we got Kelsey Plum, okay. Satu Sabali, 2. And then we got Angel Reese at 13 when it comes to WNBA fan voting. Angel Reese and the Reese's Pieces continue to have more Twitter fingers than actual act.
Clark's impact has been so massive that the WNBA's very own voting infrastructure had to be overhauled just to keep up. The back-end systems that were perfectly fine managing 50,000 votes in past seasons suddenly found themselves under a tidal wave of clicks, votes, and data 10 times the volume. The league had no choice but to adapt. Caitlin forced innovation. Her rise didn't just break records, it shattered them to the point that the league had to build new measuring sticks. And that's the legacy she's crafting. From now on, every WNBA All-Star vote will be judged against what Caitlin Clark did in 2025. Her name isn't just at the top of the leaderboard, it's the new baseline. And as a result, the Indiana Fever, once a footnote in league history, are now front and center, riding the momentum she created. This is bigger than a breakout year. It's the beginning of a new era.
Second straight year that Clark has led the fan voting. She was second in early returns in fan voting in 2024, but jumped to first with around 700,000 total votes by the end of the period. So I'm wondering, are we going to see 1 million votes this time? Because I saw somebody earlier that said so far voting is actually way up versus exactly where we was at this time last year.
Now this is where things go from impressive to downright historic. Everyone knows one superstar can change the course of a franchise. But the question is, can one player elevate an entire roster into all-star territory? That's exactly what unfolded in Indiana this year. In most seasons, all-star voting spreads out across big market teams and household names. You expect Las Vegas, New York, Seattle franchises with long-standing fan bases to stack the ballot. Smaller market teams like Indiana? They're usually thrilled to get one player into the top 10, maybe two if they're lucky. The odds are steep when fan loyalty is scattered across 12 teams, each fighting for a limited number of spots. But this year? The Indiana Fever didn't just sneak into the All-Star conversation, they stormed in and took over the entire room.
Something that I want to talk about, on the left side of your screen, we're seeing the 2025 numbers, and then boom, on the right side of your screen, you're seeing the 2024 numbers. Arike Ogunbowale went from a top 5 vote getter to all the way down to 34th. The jig is up. The jig is up, Arike. You have been found.
The burning question on everyone's mind early on was simple. Could Caitlin Clark's star power lift up her teammates, or would this be a solo spotlight moment? Would Fever fans rally behind the entire squad or just flood the ballots for their rookie sensation? For weeks, analysts debated, fans speculated, and the results stayed under wraps. Then, the final voting numbers dropped and the basketball world was stunned. Aaliyah Boston didn't land in 6th or 5th place like a solid co-star. She locked down 3rd in the entire league, collecting an eye-popping 361,018 votes. That total alone would have secured her the top spot in almost any prior year. She didn't ride Clark's momentum, she matched it with dominant performances, anchored the defense, and showed fans why she's a force in her own right.
Mitchell, of course, Indiana, 277,000. Lexi Hall, 217,000. And there is Kiki Arifin, 213,500. She's averaging a double-double, a legit double-double, with a good field goal percent.
But Boston wasn't the only Fever player making noise. Kelsey Mitchell, one of the WNBA's most consistent and underrated scorers, finally got her due. She surged to 7th place with 198,471 votes. For years, Mitchell has quietly averaged over 17 points per game, delivering buckets without the fanfare. But this year, the fans took notice big time. And then came Lexi Hull. Not a high-volume scorer. Not a flashy name on social media. But her value? Immeasurable. Hull claimed 9th place with 161,832 votes. She's the kind of player who wins you games with hustle, grit, defense, and chemistry. When fans voted her into the top 10, it proved something massive. They're watching everything the Fever are doing, not just the highlight reels. For players from one team in the top 10 of All-Star voting? That's unprecedented. Most franchises are lucky to send one. The Fever sent nearly half the roster.
Caitlin Clark has 3 times the amount of votes. 3 times the amount of votes as Angel Reese. So, there you go. I suspect Sophie Cunningham's numbers are going to grow. After what we've seen, somebody said, I saw some things online about they sold $1 million worth of Sophie Cunningham jerseys, and something in the neighborhood of 12,000 all went out one day, or all got bought at one day, and it jacked up the Indiana Fever system, this, that, and the other. By the way, the Slows are pissed off about Sophie even being on this list.
Now let's talk timing. Because the Fever's dominance couldn't have been scripted better. The 2025 WNBA All-Star Game is being hosted in Indianapolis, right at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the Fever's home court. Usually, All-Star host cities are just that, hosts. Their players often miss out on roster spots because the vote spreads across markets and name recognition. Most host franchises cheer from the sidelines while stars from other cities take the spotlight. But not this time. The Fever flipped the entire narrative. They didn't just get a seat at the table, they took the whole meal. 4 of their own players, Clark, Boston, Mitchell, and Hall, will walk into Gainbridge Fieldhouse on July 19th as All-Stars. The energy in that arena? It's not going to feel like an exhibition. It's going to feel like a playoff game.
Cunningham has got 95,116 votes as of right now. I'm going to be very interested. As of right now, I don't know if they will technically take the top. There's 24 spots, so I don't know if they're going to take the top 24. I'm assuming they will. But if they do, she would be on the All-Star team as of right now.
And it doesn't stop at the top 10. The Fever's fan base went even deeper. When you scan the extended top 40 in All-Star voting, Indiana shows up again and again. Fans didn't just vote for the stars, they voted for anyone wearing the uniform. The message is loud and clear, this fan base is dialed in. They're watching every minute, every game, every player. It's not about individual hype, it's about team identity. The Fever fans didn't just vote for highlights. They voted for hustle, defense, effort, and chemistry.
Angel Reese. Well, wait a minute. I thought it was about you too. It's everybody's watching because of me too. Except everybody's not watching because of you too. I mean, guys, if the ratings ain't enough and the attendance ain't enough and what happened at LSU ain't enough and all this other stuff ain't enough to tell you where Angel Reese's place is, well, it's 13th place. And I can tell you right now, Jonquel Jones ought to be a...
And while Indiana was dominating the ballots, another name was noticeably missing, Angel Reese. Despite all the noise, all the headlines, and all the viral clips, she was nowhere near the top 10. For someone who claims she brought viewership to the league, the numbers say otherwise. Social media buzz is one thing, but voting takes commitment. It takes action. Reese's fan base may be loud online, but when the ballots opened, they were silent. Hashtags and hot takes don't mean anything if they don't translate to real support. And this time, they didn't.
To talk a good game instead of being about a good game. This is fan voting. This is literally vote for who you are a fan of. Vote for who you're a fan of, or vote for who you think is most worthy. Vote for who you're a fan of. Vote for who you think is most worthy. Vote for who you think are the stars in this league. Angel Reese fans, you guys aren't fans of her? You don't think she's most worthy? You don't think she's a star in this league?
Meanwhile, Lexi Hull, a player with a fraction of Reese's followers and none of the drama, sits comfortably in the top 10. She didn't need to start fights or go viral. She let her play speak for itself. Hull's presence in 9th place shows what real support looks like. Fans didn't just watch, they voted. That's the difference between a follower count and a fan base. On July 19th, ABC will air the All-Star Game live to a national audience. The WNBA Countdown show will be buzzing. All eyes will be on Indianapolis. And 4 Fever players, 4, will step onto their home court to represent their city, their team, and their fans. The atmosphere? Unmatched. This won't just be a celebration. It'll be a statement. Indiana has become the heartbeat of women's basketball. A franchise that was rebuilding just 2 years ago has now become the all-star capital of the league. The votes prove it. The fans prove it. And on July 19th, the world will see it. The Indiana Fever didn't just earn a moment, they launched a movement. 4 All-Stars. Home court advantage. National television. Sky-high momentum. This is what it looks like when talent meets loyalty. If you believe in what Indiana's building, go vote for the Fever in the All-Star Game and drop Fever Fab Four in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications, because this team is just getting started.